Imagine cooking in a kitchen half the size of yours, yet somehow everything is within reach. The countertops stay clear, the cabinets never feel overcrowded, and even the smallest corners seem to have a purpose. That isn't luck, and it isn't because Japanese kitchens are secretly bigger than they look. It's the result of a handful of simple tricks that make every centimeter work harder. Today, we're counting down 12 genius Japanese tricks that can make any small kitchen feel huge. Let's get started. Number 12. Deep cabinets that finally pull their weight. Open the lower cabinets in most kitchens, and you'll probably end up kneeling on the floor, reaching into the dark, moving 3 pots aside just to find the one you actually wanted, all the way in the back. Japanese kitchens replace this frustration with full extension drawers that slide completely open instead of a fixed shelf hiding behind a door. Pots, pans, even heavy small appliances glide toward you instead of the other way around, and nothing ever gets buried at the back where it quietly gets forgotten. The kitchen doesn't get any bigger. The storage it already had simply becomes usable for the first time. Number 11. One tool doing the job of 3. Every extra gadget takes up space, and in a small kitchen, space is something you genuinely can't afford to waste. So instead of filling drawers with single-purpose tools, many Japanese kitchens ask a simple question first. Can one tool do the job of 2 or even 3? An adjustable measuring spoon replaces an entire cluttered set. A pair of multi-function kitchen scissors cuts vegetables, opens bottles, and often replaces a knife for everyday tasks. A pot lid stand with a built-in spoon rest keeps 2 separate items off the counter at once. The result isn't just fewer products crowding a drawer, it's more free space and a kitchen that quietly works smarter every single day. Number 10. The appliance garage. Take a look at your own countertop right now. There's probably a coffee maker, a toaster, maybe a rice cooker, all sitting out permanently even though they're only used for a few minutes a day. One by one, they quietly take over the exact space you need to actually cook. Japanese kitchens solve this with what's often called an appliance garage, a dedicated cabinet where small appliances stay plugged in and ready, hidden behind a pair of doors. Need the coffee maker? Open the doors, use it, close them again. Nothing has to be unplugged or moved. The appliance never actually disappeared, only the visual clutter did, and once the countertop stays clear, the entire kitchen immediately feels bigger. Some households take it a step further, using a small pull-out shelf inside the garage so the rice cooker or blender can slide forward to be used and slide right back when it's finished, without ever needing to leave its hiding spot. Number 9. Walls that work as hard as the cabinets. With the counter finally clear, the next trick asks a question most kitchens never bother with. Have we used the walls yet? Japanese kitchens treat every vertical surface as valuable real estate. Utensils hang from stainless steel rails instead of sitting in a crowded drawer. Bulky knife blocks are replaced with a slim magnetic strip mounted right on the wall. Small magnetic shelves hold spices exactly where the stove needs them. Instead of expanding a kitchen outward, which usually isn't even possible in a small space, Japanese design simply expands it upward. And that one shift can make a tiny kitchen feel surprisingly spacious without moving a single wall. Even the empty stretch of wall above the sink gets put to work, holding a dish rack that turns thin air into an entire extra storage level nobody thought to use before. Number 8. No gap is too small to matter. Once the walls are pulling their weight, the next trick turns attention to the spaces most people walk past without a second thought. The narrow gap beside the fridge, the sliver between 2 cabinets. Most kitchens simply ignore them because they seem too small to be useful. Japanese designers see it differently. To them, every centimeter has value. That's why slim rolling carts, sometimes only a few inches wide, get tucked into these gaps to hold sauces, spices, or cleaning supplies. A narrow pull-out bottle rack fits beside the stove for cooking oil and soy sauce. The lesson is refreshingly simple. You don't always need a bigger kitchen. Sometimes you just need to notice the space you've been walking past for years. Even a gap as narrow as 15 centimeters, barely wide enough for a single hand, is treated as genuine storage rather than dismissed as unusable dead space. Number 7. If you can't see it, you won't use it. Now that hidden gaps are working for you, the next trick deals with a different kind of hidden space, the kind that swallows things whole. Have you ever bought something new only to find you already owned one, buried at the back of a deep cabinet? Japanese kitchens are built around a simple rule. If you can't see it, you probably won't use it. Deep shelves are replaced with full extension drawers that slide completely open, putting every item on display at once. Corner cabinets often use pull-out carousel systems that bring hidden pots straight to you instead of the other way around. When everything is visible, you waste less food, buy fewer duplicates, and spend far less time searching for things you already own. Many pantries take this even further with a rotating lazy Susan, so nothing sits forgotten in the one blind corner every cabinet seems to have. Number 6. Stop stacking, start standing. Visibility solves half the problem, but the other half is how things are physically stored, and that brings us to one of the simplest shifts in this entire list. Think about the last time you needed one plate or one frying pan from the bottom of a stack. Everything else had to come out first just to reach it. Japanese kitchens avoid this entirely by storing vertically instead of horizontally. Plates stand upright in dedicated organizers. Pot lids line up in a rack instead of teetering in a pile. Cutting boards stand in slim holders rather than leaning against the wall. Nothing has to be lifted just to reach something else, and cabinets that store things standing up somehow always look and feel roomier than ones packed flat. It's a small physical shift, turning a stack sideways into a row, yet it changes how easy the entire cabinet feels to actually live with day after day. Number 5. Turn the sink into a second workstation. Storage solved, but small kitchens have another constant enemy, a shortage of actual workspace, and Japanese design found an unlikely solution hiding in plain sight: the sink itself. Most people think the sink only has one job: washing dishes. Japanese kitchens see it as extra counter space waiting to be unlocked. A sink cover cutting board fits directly over the basin, instantly creating a full prep surface exactly where you need it. Roll-up drying racks stretch across the same space, letting dishes dry above the sink instead of spreading across the counter. Instead of letting the sink sit idle between washes, it becomes one of the hardest working surfaces in the entire kitchen. Some households even add an expandable colander that rests across both edges of the basin, so rinsing vegetables no longer means holding a bowl with one hand while trying to cook with the other. Number 4. Store things exactly where you use them. With more workspace unlocked, the next trick focuses on something almost nobody thinks about: movement. Picture making breakfast. The pan is on the stove. Now you need oil, that's another cabinet, then salt, another drawer entirely. Those extra steps feel small individually, but they repeat hundreds of times a week. Japanese kitchens are organized around exactly where each task actually happens. Cooking oil sits in a slide-out rack right beside the cooktop. Knives live in a drawer directly under the prep area instead of across the room. Nothing is placed randomly. Everything is positioned to cut down on unnecessary movement, and by the end of the day, you've quietly taken hundreds fewer steps without ever noticing it. Even the rice scoop usually gets its own small holder right beside the rice cooker, a detail so minor most people would never think to plan for it, yet it removes one more tiny moment of searching from every single meal. Number 3. Hide the mess, not the function. Even a kitchen that's technically clean can still feel messy, and it's rarely because it's actually dirty. It's because too many ordinary items are constantly on display: trash bins, sponges, and cleaning sprays. Japanese kitchens follow a different rule here: hide the mess without hiding the function. A pull-out trash cabinet lets the bin disappear completely into a drawer. The inside of a cabinet door becomes storage for sponges, gloves, and cleaning cloths. Nothing you actually need has been removed. It's simply been moved out of your direct line of sight. And a kitchen where your eyes aren't constantly catching stray clutter will always feel calmer and larger than one where everything necessary sits in plain view. Even paper towels, something almost every kitchen leaves sitting on the counter, quietly disappear underneath an upper cabinet, still within arm's reach but no longer part of the visual clutter. Number 2, fewer colors, fewer shapes, less visual noise. A kitchen can be spotless and organized and still somehow feel chaotic, and that comes down to something most people never consciously notice: visual noise. Colorful packaging, mismatched bottle shapes, and random containers force your eyes to process far more information than they need to. Japanese kitchens quietly solve this by transferring pantry items into matching storage containers, identical glass jars for spices, simple uniform labels, appliances tucked out of sight so only the essentials remain visible. The kitchen isn't actually emptier in any real sense, it's simply quieter. And when your eyes have less to sort through, your mind reads the entire room as calmer and noticeably more spacious. It's the same principle a photographer uses when styling a shot. A single consistent palette always reads as more intentional and more spacious than a shelf full of clashing colors and shapes. Number 1, every centimeter has to earn its place. And that brings us to the idea holding every other trick on this list together. And it isn't really about storage at all, it's a mindset. Instead of asking how to fit more things into a kitchen, Japanese design asks a completely different question. Does every item actually have a purpose here? And does every centimeter work as hard as it possibly can? Nothing gets a permanent spot simply because there happened to be room for it. That single shift in thinking is what separates a kitchen that constantly feels cramped from one that quietly works with you instead of against you, no matter how many square meters it actually has. In the end, every other trick on this list only works because of this underlying mindset. None of them matter much in a kitchen that's still filled with things that never earned their place there to begin with. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.